The council chamber floated in space like a giant crystal. Inside, beings from hundreds of worlds sat in circular rows. Some had scales, others had fur, and many looked nothing like anything from Earth. At the center stood 3 humans. Small and pale compared to most creatures, their Captain Taiho Kim stood with his hands behind his back. His blue uniform looked plain next to the bright robes and armor of alien delegates. Next to him, Dr. Hannah Park held a datapad with shaking hands. Ambassador Yuna Choi stood between them, her face calm but her eyes sharp. The head of the council was a Valth, an ancient creature that looked like a tall mantis made of silver metal. Its voice came out cold and mechanical. The council has reviewed Earth's activities. We find them dangerous. Yuna stepped forward. Dangerous? We have followed every law. We have paid every tribute. What have we done wrong? The Valve's eyes glowed red. You expand too fast. You build too many ships. You take too many worlds. In 50 years, humans have claimed 32 colonies. This is aggressive behavior. Taiho wanted to speak, but held back. Hana touched his arm gently, warning him to stay quiet. Yuna's voice stayed steady. We expand because we have many children. We build ships because we need to protect our people. We take empty worlds that no one wanted. How is this aggressive? Another delegate stood up, a blob-like creature that spoke through bubbles. Humans are loud. Humans are pushy. Humans do not respect the old ways. The old ways kept us safe for 10,000 years, said another voice. Then humans came and everything changed. Yuna looked around the chamber. Most faces showed anger or fear. Only a few looked uncertain. We came to join you as friends. We shared our art, our music, our science. We asked only to be treated fairly. The Valve leader made a grinding sound that might have been laughter. Fair? You speak of fair when you secretly build warships. When you hide your true technology. When you train soldiers on every colony world. Hannah felt her blood run cold. How did they know about the defense programs? Those were supposed to be secret. Taiho clenched his jaw. The council had been spying on Earth. Everything they did was watched and recorded. We defend ourselves, Yuna said. Only that. Every species here has armies. Why can't we? Because you are young, the Valve answered. Because you are dangerous. Because you do not know your place. The creature raised a long metal arm. The council has voted. Earth is expelled from the galactic community. All human ships must leave council space in 30 days. A blockade will ensure you stay in your own small corner of the galaxy. The chamber filled with clicking, humming, and growling sounds. The vote had already happened. This meeting was just for show. Yuna's calm mask finally cracked. You can't do this. We have trade agreements. We have colonies with mixed populations. We have families living on council worlds. They have 30 days to return home, the Valve said. After that, any human in council space will be arrested. Any human ship will be destroyed. Hana stepped forward, her scientist mind still working. Why? Tell us the real reason. This isn't about expansion or aggression. What are you really afraid of? The Valve's eyes fixed on her. For a moment, something like emotion crossed its face. Fear? Hatred? Then it was gone. This council is dismissed. Guards appeared from side doors. Tall armored beings carrying energy weapons. The message was clear. Leave now or be removed. Taiho, Hana, and Yuna walked back to their ship in silence. The docking bay was cold and empty. Other ships were pulling away, not wanting to be near humans anymore. Inside the Horizon's promise, Taihe finally spoke. They planned this. The vote happened before we even arrived. Yuna sat down heavily. Yes, they've been planning it for months, maybe years. Hannah pulled up her datapad. I found something in their archives. Files that weren't properly hidden. The Council has been watching Earth since we invented radio. They've been afraid of us since we first sent signals into space. Why? Taiho asked. What did they see that scared them? Hannah's fingers moved across the screen. We adapt too fast. We solve problems too quickly. Most species take 10,000 years to go from farming to space travel. We did it in 10,000. They think we'll surpass them in another 100 years. So they're getting rid of us now, while they still can, Yuna said quietly. The ship's computer beeped. A message from Earth Command appeared. Taiho read it aloud. All diplomatic vessels are ordered to return immediately. Fleet Admiral Jiho Kong is mobilizing the defense forces. We are to expect hostile action. It's really happening, Hannah whispered. They're going to war with us. Yuna stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see Council warships moving into formation. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They looked like a swarm of metal insects gathering for an attack. We should have seen this coming, she said. We were so happy to meet other species. So excited to join the galactic community. We thought they would welcome us. Taiho joined her at the window. Some of them did. I saw a few faces in that chamber. Some delegates looked unhappy with the vote. Some looked ashamed. Not enough to stop it, Yuna replied. Hannah saved her data and encrypted it. This information might be important later. The Council's fear, their long surveillance, their predetermined judgment. It all told a story that Earth needed to hear. The Horizon's promise undocked and turned toward home. Behind them, the crystal council chamber grew smaller. Ahead, Earth waited, blue and green and beautiful in the darkness of space. What happens now? Hannah asked Date, who activated the faster-than-light drive. The stars began to stretch and blur. Now we go home and prepare. If the Council wants to treat us as enemies, then we'll show them what human enemies can do. Yuna pulled up a star map. It showed human colonies scattered across 20 light years. Small red dots appeared around them. Council blockade positions. We have 23 colonies that will be cut off. Millions of people trapped behind their lines. Earth won't abandon them, Taiho said with certainty. No, Yuna agreed. We won't. And that's probably what the Council is counting on. They'll wait for us to try a rescue. Then they'll call it an act of war. The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. The Council chamber disappeared behind them. None of them knew it then, but they would never see it again. Not as it was that day, whole and proud and powerful. The Galactic Council had just made the worst mistake in its 10,000-year history. They had united humanity against them. They had given Earth no choice but to fight. And worst of all, they had given humans time to prepare. 30 days. The Council thought it was enough time for humans to run away scared. They would soon learn it was enough time for something very different. 6 months passed since. Earth's expulsion. Governor Sora Lee stood at the window of her office on New Sol Colony, watching the sky. Up there, somewhere beyond the clouds, Council warships waited. She couldn't see them, but she knew they were there. Everyone knew. The communication screen on her desk buzzed for the 10th time that day. Another family asking when supplies would arrive. Another hospital reporting low medicine stocks. Another farmer saying his equipment was breaking down and he had no spare parts. Sora pressed her tired eyes with her fingers. The colony had enough food. They grew their own crops and raised animals. But medicine, tools, computer parts, fuel for generators, all of that came from Earth. The blockade had cut them off completely. Governor, you need to see this, her assistant said. Rushing into the room, The screen showed Admiral Geo Kong's face. He looked older than Sora remembered. The blockade was aging everyone too fast. "Governor Lee, I need you to listen carefully," Geo said. "We're organizing a supply run. Operation Pathfinder. We're going to break through the blockade." Sora felt hope rise in her chest. "When?" 3 days. We'll hit 5 blockade points at once. While they're confused, supply ships will push through to your colonies. But Sora, you need to understand. This is risky. Very risky. How risky?" Jiho paused. "We might lose half our ships. Maybe more. But we can't leave you there to suffer." Sora looked out the window again. 2.3 million people lived on New Sol. Families, children, old people. They trusted Earth to help them. "We'll be ready to receive supplies. Tell me what we need to do. Just stay safe." "And Governor? If something goes wrong, if we don't make it through—" "You'll make it," Sora interrupted. "I know you will." Far away in Earth's orbit, Colonel Minji Song prepared her team. 12 Special Forces soldiers, the best humanity had. Their mission was simple but deadly. Sneak through enemy lines, sabotage the Council's sensor network, and give the supply fleet a blind spot to fly through. Remember, Minji told her team, we're not trying to fight them. We're trying to make them deaf and blind for 10 minutes. That's all the fleet needs. Her second in command, a young man named Quan, checked his equipment. "What if we run into patrols?" "Then we run. Fighting isn't the mission. The mission is getting our people through." They launched from a stealth ship 3 hours before the main fleet. The darkness of space swallowed them. Their small craft had no lights, no heat signature, nothing that sensors could detect easily. They were ghosts floating toward enemy territory. The Council sensor station looked like a giant metal flower with 20 petals. Each petal was a sensor array watching different directions. Minji's team approached from below, where the station's own gravity shadow created a blind spot. Going in," Minji whispered. Her team attached to the hull like insects. They planted devices at P points, small bombs that would overload the sensor circuits without destroying the station. The Council would be able to repair it, but not for several hours. Charges set. 60 seconds to detonation. They flew away fast. Behind them, the charges went off with silent flashes of light. The sensor station went dark. "Supply fleet, this is Ghost Team. The door is open. You have 10 minutes. Admiral Jiho received the message and gave the order. "All ships, maximum speed. Punch through now." 80 supply ships jumped to faster-than-light speed at once. They appeared in Council space scattered across 5 different blockade points. The Council forces, suddenly blind from Minji's sabotage, scrambled to respond. Enemy ships launching. Someone shouted on Jiho's bridge. "Ignore them. Get those supplies through. Weapons free, defend the cargo ships only. Space filled with energy beams and missiles." Human warships formed a protective wall around the supply vessels. Ships exploded on both sides. Jiho watched the battle display with cold calculation. Green dots for human ships, red for Council forces. Green dots were disappearing too fast. Supply Group 3 is through the line. Supply Group 1 is through. Group 5 is. The communication officer paused. Group 5 is taking heavy fire. 2 ships destroyed. All combat ships. Cover Group 5. Get them through. More green dots vanished. The price was climbing higher than Jiho had hoped. But the supplies were reaching the colonies. That was what mattered. On New Sol, Sora watched supply ships drop from the sky like falling stars. The colony's spaceport came alive with activity. Trucks rushed out to collect cargo containers. Medicine, spare parts, fuel cells, Everything the colony desperately needed. Governor, incoming transmission from Admiral Kung. Jiho's face appeared, but now he looked grim. Governor, we need you to prepare for the worst. The Council is calling our supply run an act of war. They're voting right now on a military response. What kind of response? Jiho hesitated. They might attack the colonies directly. Not just blockade them. Attack them. Sora felt ice in her stomach. Can you defend us? We'll try. But they have more ships. Many more. The transmission ended. Sora stood alone in her office, looking at the supply containers being distributed across the colony. They had medicine now. They had spare parts. They had fuel. But would they have time to use it? 2 days later, the Council fleet arrived at New Sol.Sora, activated the colony's defense shields. But she knew they weren't strong enough. The shields were meant to protect against asteroids and radiation, not military weapons. The Council ships began firing without warning. Energy beams tore through the shields like paper. Buildings exploded. The spaceport where they had just unloaded supplies vanished in a fireball. Sora tried to evacuate people to underground shelters, but there wasn't time. The Council wanted to send a message to Earth. They wanted to show what happened when humans didn't obey Dot from her office. Sora sent one last transmission to Earth. Tell them we died with honor. Tell them not to give up. Tell them the building shook. The walls cracked. Sora's screen went dark. On Earth, Admiral Jihu Kong watched the transmission cut off. The sensors showed New Sol's infrastructure collapsing. 2.3 million people. Gone in minutes. The command center was silent. Everyone stared at the screens in horror. Finally, Jiho spoke. His voice was quiet, but hard as steel. Get me the president. Get me the Security Council. Get me every military commander we have. Sir, what are you going to recommend? Jiho stood up. War. Total war. The Council just killed millions of civilians. They wanted a war? They'll get one. But it won't be the war they expected. Across Earth, the news spread in minutes. New Sol was gone. Governor Sora Lee was dead. 2 million civilians murdered in a deliberate attack. People who had been uncertain before now demanded action. People who had wanted peace now wanted justice. The Council had made a terrible mistake. They thought destroying one colony would scare humans into submission. Instead, they united Earth like nothing else could have. Colonel Minji Song heard the news on her journey back to Earth. She looked at her team, saw the same cold anger in their eyes that she felt. Change of plans, she said. We're not going back to Earth. We're going to enemy territory. And we're going to make them pay. The blockade was still in place. The war was just beginning. But something had changed. Humans were no longer trying to survive. They were preparing to win. Dr. Hin-Woo Shin walked through the underground facility beneath Mars. The complex stretched for miles in every direction, hidden under the red sand. Most people on Earth didn't know it existed. The Council certainly didn't. Show them, Yun-Woo told his assistant. The lights came on in the massive hangar. General Daeho Wan stood with his mouth open. Before him floated a warship like nothing he had ever seen. It was dark gray, almost black, with smooth curves instead of the usual angular design. It looked like a predator from the deep ocean. This is the Retribution, Hyun-Woo explained. We've been building it for 15 years. Actually, we've been building 30 of them. 30? Daeho couldn't believe it. How did you keep this secret? The Council thought we were building mining stations on Mars. They were wrong. Hyun-Woo smiled, but his eyes were cold. After first contact with the Council, some of us worried. We worried that older species wouldn't want young humans competing with them. So we prepared, just in case. Daeho walked around the ship, touching its hull. The metal felt strange, almost alive. What makes it special? Everything. The quantum displacement drive lets it jump to faster-than-light speed, 3 times faster than Council ships. The hull is made from metamaterial that absorbs energy weapons. The neural-linked combat system connects directly to the pilot's brain. And the antimatter torpedoes, well, one torpedo can destroy a ship 5 times this size. When can they deploy? They're ready now. They've been ready for 2 years. We were just waiting for permission to use them. Daeho looked at Hyunwoo with new understanding. You knew this would happen. You knew the Council would turn on us. We hoped we were wrong. But we prepared in case we were right. Captain Sumin Jang stood on the bridge of the Retribution 3 days later. Around her, 29 other new warships waited for orders. They hung in space near Jupiter, hidden from Council sensors by the planet's radiation. All ships report ready, her communication officer said. Good. Sumin pulled up the tactical map. It showed 3 Council fleet anchorages, massive shipyards where they kept their warships. The Council felt safe there, deep in their own territory. They were about to learn they were wrong. Engage quantum drives. Attack pattern Delta. Let's show them what happens when you murder civilians. The human ships jumped faster than light speed. They crossed 50 light years in minutes. The Council sensors never saw them coming dock at the first anchorage. A Valve commander was drinking something that looked like liquid metal. His relaxation ended when alarms started screaming. Report. He shouted. Unknown ships appearing from faster than light. They're already firing. The Retribution and 9 other human ships unleashed their antimatter torpedoes. The warheads moved faster than Council sensors could track. They hit fuel storage tanks, power generators, and docked ships. The anchorage exploded like a small sun. Sumin watched coldly as fire bloomed in space. Target destroyed. Moving to Target 2. At the second anchorage, the Council tried to mount a defense. They launched 100 fighters to intercept the human ships. It should have been enough. It wasn't. The human ships' neural link systems let them react in milliseconds. They dodged and weaved through enemy fire like dancers. Their energy weapons cut through Council shields like they weren't there in 5 minutes. All 100 Council fighters were destroyed. The human ships lost none. The third anchorage tried to run. Their ships undocked and attempted to jump away. But the human ships were faster. Much faster. They caught the fleeing vessels and destroyed them one by one. When it was over, 3 major Council fleet anchorages were gone. Destroyed in a coordinated strike that lasted less than 30 minutes. On the Council homeworld of Praxian, the Valve leadership watched the reports in disbelief. How is this possible? One demanded. Our intelligence said humans had no advanced warships. Our intelligence was wrong, another admitted. The humans have been hiding their true capabilities since first contact. The Valve Supreme Leader slammed a metal fist on the table. Then we underestimated them. We won't make that mistake again. Deploy the Grand Fleet. Crush them completely. But deploying the fleet took time. And while the Council organized, General Daeho Wan was already implementing his next strategy. We can't match them ship for ship, he told his commanders. They have thousands of vessels. We have hundreds. So we don't fight them head on. We fight them everywhere at once. Daeho divided the human forces into small hunter groups. 5 ships each. Fast, deadly, and impossible to predict. They struck at convoy routes, supply depots, isolated outposts. The Council fleet would rush to defend one location, only to find the humans had already hit 3 others. It's called guerrilla warfare, Daeho explained to confused alien commanders who had joined the human side. We make them chase shadows. We tire them out. We make them afraid. Colonel Minji Song led one of these hunter groups. Her specialty was hitting Council supply convoys. The Council needed food, fuel, and ammunition just like anyone else. Every convoy she destroyed made their fleet weaker. Target in sight, her pilot reported. Council supply convoy. 12 cargo ships, 4 escorts. Standard pattern. Hit the escorts first, then the cargo ships. Make it fast. Her 5 ships dropped from faster-than-light speed right on top of the convoy. The Council escorts barely had time to raise shields before antimatter torpedoes tore them apart. The cargo ships tried to scatter, but there was nowhere to run. Convoy destroyed. No survivors. Minji felt nothing. She remembered New Seoul. She remembered Governor Sora Lee. She remembered 2 million dead civilians. These Council soldiers chose their side. Now they paid the price. Across 50 star systems, similar attacks happened every day. The Council's supply lines bled. Their ships ran low on fuel. Their soldiers went hungry. Their commanders grew frustrated and afraid. At the Battle of Proxima Threshold, the tide truly turned. The Council had assembled a fleet of 500 warships to destroy a human colony. They thought it would be like New Seoul, an easy target. A message to Earth. General Deo had other ideas. He let the Council fleet enter the Proxima system. Let them think they had the advantage. Then, when they were committed, he sprung his trap. Human ships appeared from every direction. Ships hiding behind planets. Ships hidden in asteroid fields. Ships waiting in faster-than-light standby, engines warm and ready. The Council fleet suddenly found itself surrounded. Their 500 ships faced 300 human vessels. The Council still had more ships, but the humans had better position, better tactics, and better weapons. All ships open fire. Show them what happens when they come to our home. The battle lasted 6 hours. In the end, 400 Council ships were destroyed. The humans lost 78. The Council fleet retreated in chaos. Their survivors told stories of human ships that moved like ghosts, weapons that couldn't be stopped, and pilots who seemed to know what they would do before they did it. On traction, the Valve leadership finally understood their mistake. They weren't fighting primitive savages. They were fighting an enemy that had prepared for war while pretending to seek peace. They were fighting humans who had learned to hide their strength until the moment they needed it. How long? The Supreme Leader asked his intelligence chief. How long have they been preparing for this? Since first contact, Supreme Leader. Maybe longer. We believe they've been running war simulations against us for decades. They knew our tactics, our weapons, our strategies before the war even started. The Supreme Leader felt something he hadn't felt in 1,000 years. Fear. Can we win? The intelligence chief hesitated. Yes, but not easily. And not cheaply. The war we thought would last weeks might last years. On Earth, Dr. Hannah Park, now promoted to Chancellor, addressed the planet. The Council thought we were weak. They were wrong. They thought we were unprepared. They were wrong. They thought they could intimidate us with violence. They were wrong about that most of all. We will fight until every human colony is free. We will fight until the Council faces justice for their crimes. And we will win. Around Earth, the orbital shipyards worked day and night. New warships joined the fleet every week. Volunteers lined up to join the military. Scientists developed new weapons. Engineers designed new defenses. The Council had awakened something they didn't understand. They had awakened humanity's survival instinct. And now they would pay the price for that mistake. Commander Haijin Cho sat in a dark room, watching screens filled with alien faces. She wasn't on a battlefield. She didn't pilot a warship. Her weapon was information, and it was more powerful than any gun. Upload the next video, she told her team. Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, citizens saw new footage. It showed the attack on New Sol, not from human cameras, but from Council ships. The video came from a Council military recorder. It showed Council commanders laughing as they fired on civilian targets. It showed them celebrating when hospitals exploded. It showed them counting dead children like points in a game. Hygiene had stolen the footage from a Council database. Now she made sure everyone in the galaxy saw it. On the world of Fenai, a furry species with big eyes watched the video in horror. They had supported the war because their leaders said humans were dangerous. But this video showed who was really dangerous. Councillor Yuri, the Fenai representative, watched the same video in his chambers. He felt sick. He had voted for the blockade. He had voted to authorize military action. But this was genocide. This was evil. He made a decision that would change everything. He contacted Ambassador Junho Bei. Junho was Earth's secret envoy, operating behind enemy lines. He moved from world to world in disguise, talking to Council members who were starting to doubt the war. When Councillor Yuri's message arrived, Junho almost didn't believe it. "You want to meet? In person?" Junho asked carefully. "Yes, I have information. Information about what the Valth are really planning." They met on a neutral station, a place where species could trade without taking sides. Yuri looked nervous, his large eyes darting around for watchers. "The Valth are building a superweapon," Yuri whispered. "A planet killer. A plan to use it on Earth." Junho felt his blood turn cold. "Are you certain?" "I've seen the plans. It's on a world called Terminus, a secret facility deep underground. The weapon uses ancient technology that the Valth have kept hidden for thousands of years. One shot can crack a planet's core and make it explode. Why are you telling me this?" Yuri's eyes were wet. In his species, tears showed true emotion. "Because this is wrong. My people didn't join the Council to be part of genocide. We thought the Council stood for peace and order. But the Valth want only power. They're afraid of humans, so they'll destroy Earth completely. And if we let them do it, we're just as guilty." Junho sent the information to Earth immediately. Chancellor Hana Park called an emergency meeting. "We have to destroy this weapon before they finish it," General Deo Wan said. "Agreed," Hana replied. "But we can't do it alone. This is our chance to split the Council. If we can show other species that the Valth plan genocide, some of them will turn against the war." Commander Hygiene went to work. She created a presentation showing everything they knew about the weapon. Technical plans stolen from Council databases. Communication logs between Valth commanders. Orders to target Earth cities first, to kill as many humans as possible. Junho delivered the presentation to 47 Council species who had shown doubts about the war. He didn't ask them to join Earth. He just asked them to see the truth. On world after world, citizens watched the evidence. They saw that the Valth weren't trying to contain a threat. They were trying to commit genocide because they feared competition. Protests erupted across Council space. Species demanded their leaders explain. Why were they part of this? Why were they helping the Valth murder an entire civilization? The Council tried to hold emergency sessions, but now members were fighting among themselves. Some defended the Valth. Others demanded investigation. Many simply refused to send more ships to fight humans. Meanwhile, Colonel Minji Song prepared for the most dangerous mission of her life. She would lead the strike team to destroy the weapon on Terminus. "This isn't like our other missions," she told her team. "Terminus is heavily defended. We might not make it back." Her soldiers looked at each other. Then one spoke up. Governor Sora Lee didn't make it back from New Sol. If we have to die to save Earth, that's a fair trade. They launched in secret, using information from Counselor Yuri to find the weapon facility. But they weren't alone. 3 council species had secretly agreed to help. Ships from the Fenai, the Kelter, and the Drax joined the human strike force. It was the first time council ships and human ships flew together as allies. The journey to Terminus took 4 days. When they arrived, they found the planet's defenses were even stronger than expected. Energy shields, orbital weapons platforms, patrol ships everywhere. "We'll never get through," someone said. Then the Fenai ships moved forward. "We have council access codes. We can get you through the first layer of defense. After that, you're on your own." The plan worked. The Fenai ships led them through the outer defenses. Council guards saw council ships and assumed everything was normal. By the time they realized something was wrong, human soldiers were already landing on the planet. Minji led her team through underground tunnels toward the weapon facility. They moved fast and quiet, taking out guards before they could sound alarms. But as they got closer, resistance grew stronger. "Contact front," someone shouted. Energy beams filled the corridor. The battle was fierce. Minji's team used grenades, rifles, and hand-to-hand combat. Council soldiers fought hard to protect their superweapon. But humans fought harder to save their world. Finally, they reached the weapon chamber. It was massive, a machine that filled a cavern the size of a city. Energy crackled along its surface. According to Yuri's information, it was 70% complete. In another month, it would be ready to fire. Plant the charges. Every critical system. We're going to make sure this thing never works. As her team set explosives, alarms began screaming throughout the facility. Reinforcements were coming. "We need to leave now," someone shouted. "Not yet. If we don't destroy this completely, they'll rebuild it." Minji stayed behind to set the final charges while her team evacuated. She worked fast, her hands steady even as enemy fire got closer. The last charge clicked into place. Charges armed. 60 seconds to detonation. She ran. Energy beams scorched the walls around her. An explosion threw her forward. She kept running. Her team's ship waited at the landing site. Engines hot. Go, go, go. The ship lifted off as the charges detonated. The weapon facility exploded from deep underground. The explosion was so powerful, it cracked the planet's surface. Fire shot up from the cracks like blood from a wound. In orbit, human and allied council ships fought their way out. They broadcast everything. Every species in the galaxy saw the weapon. They saw how close the valve had come to planetary genocide. The response was immediate. 200 council species announced they were withdrawing support from the war. They said they joined the council for protection and prosperity, not to help ancient tyrants commit genocide. 80-9 species went further. They formally allied with Earth. The Galactic Council, which had stood united for 10,000 years, split into pieces. Some stayed loyal to the valve out of fear or tradition. Some declared neutrality, wanting no part of the war. And some joined humanity, believing that Earth's cause was just. Chancellor Hannah Park addressed the new alliance from Earth. "We didn't want this war. We wanted peace. But when peace wasn't possible, we chose to fight for what's right. Not just for humans, but for any species that values justice over power. Together, we'll build something better than the Council. Something where all species are equal. Where strength doesn't mean the right to dominate. Where different doesn't mean dangerous." Counselor Yuri watched the speech from his homeworld. He had committed treason by helping Earth. The valve would never forgive him. But he felt no regret. For the first time in his long life, he had done something truly good. The war wasn't over. The Valve still had thousands of ships. They still controlled the Council homeworld of Praxian. But now they were alone. The galaxy had seen their true face. And most of the galaxy had turned away in disgust. Admiral Jiho Kong studied the new battle maps. Where before he saw only red enemy territories, now he saw green allies scattered across space. The war had changed from humanity fighting alone to a coalition fighting for a better future. Prepare the fleets, he ordered. It's time to end this. It's time to take Praxian. The fleet gathered in the darkness between stars. Fleet Admiral Tiho Kim, promoted from captain after years of war, stood on the bridge of his flagship watching the display. Thousands of ships. Human vessels painted in navy blue. Fenai ships with their curved silver hulls. Kelter warships that looked like crystals. Drax battleships covered in spikes. And dozens of other species, all united under one purpose: end the Valve tyranny. End the war. Create something better. Final count? Taiho asked. 3,412 ships total, Admiral. The largest fleet in recorded history. Taiho allowed himself a small smile. 2 years ago, humanity had been alone and outnumbered. Now they led a coalition that made the remaining Council forces look small. On Praxian, the Valve Supreme Leader watched the same fleet on his sensors. Around the Council homeworld, they had assembled every loyal ship they could find. About 4,000 vessels. It should have been enough, but the Supreme Leader felt doubt for the first time. His species had ruled the Council for 10,000 years. They had always been the strongest, the smartest, the most advanced. How had it come to this? How had young humans done what no other species had managed in all that time? Chancellor Hannah Park opened a communication channel. Her face appeared on screens throughout the Valve fleet. This is Chancellor Hannah Park of Earth, speaking for the Coalition of Free Species. We offer you one chance to surrender. Stand down your weapons. Submit to trial for war crimes. The galaxy will witness justice, not revenge. The Valve Supreme Leader's response was immediate. Humans do not offer terms to the Council. You are children playing with weapons you don't understand. We will crush you and scatter your remains as a warning to others. Hannah closed her eyes briefly. She had hoped for peace even now. But the Valve chose pride over wisdom. Very well. All ships, you are authorized to engage. May history remember what happened here. The battle for Praxian began. The Valve activated the planet's ancient defenses. Energy weapons emerged from the surface, powerful enough to destroy capital ships with single shots. Minefields activated across orbital space. Defense satellites began firing. Taiho had prepared for this. First wave, clear the minefields. Second wave, target those surface batteries. Third wave, hold position and await my command. Specialized ships equipped with energy shields flew into the minefields. They absorbed the explosions, creating safe paths for the main fleet. Behind them, bombers dove toward Praxian's surface, dodging defensive fire to strike the weapons batteries. The Valve fleet charged forward to intercept. Their ships were powerful, built from technology older than human civilization. But they fought using tactics that hadn't changed in thousands of years. They expected enemies to meet them in organized formations, to follow the rules of engagement that the Council had established long ago. The Coalition fleet didn't follow those rules. Taiho split his forces into dozens of small groups. They attacked from every angle at once. Fenai ships used their speed to strike and retreat. Kelter ships used advanced shields to absorb damage while allies flanked the enemy. Drax ships charged directly, drawing attention while human vessels lined up killing shots. The enemy is confused, Taiho's tactical officer reported. They're trying to maintain formation, but we're breaking them apart. Colonel Minji Song led her Special Forces team on a different mission. While the fleets battled in orbit, she took a strike team directly to Praxian surface. Their target was the council chambers, where the Valve leadership commanded their forces. "Landing zone is hot," a pilot shouted as defensive fire tried to shoot them down. "Then we go in hot," Minji replied. "All teams, dispersal pattern Delta." Her ship dropped soldiers across a 10-mile radius around the council chambers. They wore powered armor that let them move fast and hit hard. The Valve ground forces tried to stop them, but Minji's team had trained for exactly this scenario. Captain Sumin Jiang, flying the Retribution, hunted Valve capital ships. Her ship darted through the chaos of battle like a shark among smaller fish. She found a Valve dreadnought, a massive vessel that was destroying coalition ships one after another. All power to forward weapons. Let's see how tough they really are. The Retribution fired its antimatter torpedoes. The Valve dreadnought's shields held for 3 seconds. Then the torpedoes punched through. The explosions tore the ship in half. Dreadnought destroyed. Seeking new targets, General Deho Wan coordinated the overall strategy from a command ship. He watched the battle unfold across multiple displays, seeing patterns that others missed. The Valve right flank is weakening. Send Battle Group 7 to exploit it. Their command ship is trying to pull back. Don't let it. Pin it down and destroy it. His orders flowed out to hundreds of ships. The coalition forces moved like a living thing, adapting and changing to every situation. On the planet's surface, Minji reached the outer walls of the council chambers. The building was old, built from stone that had survived meteor impacts and wars. But it wasn't built to survive what humans had brought. Place the breaching charges. The explosion blew a hole 10 meters wide. Minji's team poured through, fighting their way past Valve guards. The defenders were strong and skilled, but they had never fought humans in close combat before. They learned why other species feared humans in battle. Humans didn't stop. Humans didn't give up. A human soldier might be wounded, bleeding, exhausted, but they kept fighting until they won or died. There was no middle ground. Minji kicked down the door to the command center. Inside, the Valve Supreme Leader stood with his officers. They had weapons pointed at the door. "Stand down," Minji ordered. "You've lost. Your fleet is breaking. Your defenses are falling. Surrender and face trial, or die here. Choose." The Supreme Leader looked at his officers. He saw fear in their eyes. For 10,000 years, the Valve had never been defeated, never been invaded, never faced the possibility that they might lose everything. "Why?" the Supreme Leader asked. "Why did you fight so hard?" "We only wanted to keep the galaxy stable." Minji lowered her weapon slightly, but kept it ready. "You wanted to keep the galaxy under your control. You saw humans growing strong, and it scared you. So you tried to destroy us before we could challenge your power. That's not stability. That's tyranny. And you think you'll be better? You think your coalition will last? Maybe, maybe not. But at least we'll try to build something where all species are equal. Not where the oldest species rule everyone else." In orbit, the battle reached its peak. Half the Valve fleet was destroyed or disabled. The rest tried to retreat, but coalition ships blocked every escape route. Taiyo received Minji's transmission. "Admiral, we have the council leadership in custody. The planet is ours. All ships, cease fire," Taiyo ordered. "Offer terms to all Valve ships. Surrender and live. Keep fighting and die. Let them choose." One by one, Valve ships powered down their weapons. Their crews knew the war was over. Fighting now would only mean more death for nothing. By the time Praxian's sun rose again, the battle was finished. The Galactic Council, which had stood for 10,000 years, had fallen in one day. 3 months later, Chancellor Hannah Park stood before the first assembly of the new Galactic Assembly. Representatives from 347 species filled the chamber. Some were old council members who had sided with Earth. Many were species that had been oppressed by the council for centuries and finally saw freedom. We gather today not as conquerors and conquered, Hannah said. We gather as equals. The Galactic Council fell because it forgot that power must serve justice, not the other way around. We will build something different. A place where the newest species has the same voice as the oldest. Where strength doesn't mean the right to dominate. Where different doesn't mean dangerous. She paused, looking around the chamber. This war cost 3 million human lives. It cost billions of alien lives. We must never forget that price. We must honor those who died by making sure we build something worth their sacrifice. The Assembly voted to accept the new charter. Not everyone was happy. Some thought humans had too much influence. Others thought the old council way was better. But democracy meant accepting disagreement and working through it. The Valve leadership stood trial for war crimes. The evidence was overwhelming. They were found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment, not execution. Hannah had insisted on that. We're better than them, she had said. That means acting better than them. Admiral Tai-Ho Kim retired from active service and became an instructor at the new Coalition Defense Academy. He trained officers from dozens of species, teaching them not just how to fight, but why fighting should always be the last option. Colonel Min Ji-sung took command of the memorial project on New Seoul. The colony was rebuilt, and at its center stood a monument listing every name of every person who died in the war. Human names and alien names, side by side. Dr. Hyun-woo Shin's Mars facility became open knowledge. The secrets were revealed, and instead of anger, most species felt respect. The humans had prepared for war while hoping for peace. They were ready when the council betrayed them. Consular Yuri became the Fenai ambassador to the new Galactic Assembly. His people forgave his treason because it had been the right thing to do. Sometimes breaking a bad law is more honorable than following it. On Earth, people celebrated their victory. But Hannah made sure they also remembered the cost. Victory parades included moments of silence. Celebrations included memorial services. The war was won, but the price was never forgotten. Ambassador Jung-ho Bae, who had risked his life doing secret diplomacy during the war, gave a speech that became famous. The Council's greatest mistake wasn't turning against Earth. It was forgetting that the strongest empires fall not to external threats, but to their own injustice. They had the power to destroy us, but we had something stronger. We had the will to fight for what was right. 5 years after the war ended, the new Galactic Assembly had grown to 500 member species. Trade flourished. Science advanced. Art and culture mixed in ways never seen before. And when new species were discovered, reaching out to the stars for the first time, they found not conquerors or tyrants, but partners. They found a galaxy that had learned through blood and fire. That cooperation was stronger than domination. In a small park on Earth, there stood a simple stone with words carved in every language of the galaxy. Here stands Earth, homeworld of humanity. We were judged dangerous because we grew too fast, reached too far, and dreamed too big. The galaxy tried to contain us. Instead, we helped set it free.